Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. This is a standalone 30 to 60 minute 1 to 4 player miniature game based on the video game franchise, the licensed property from Games Workshop. Now, what comes in this box? Well, you're going to get a bunch of miniatures, 10 of the sort of like bad guy traitor guardsmen, 6 poxwalkers, and 4 rejects, which is what they're called in the video game. These are human prisoners of various skill levels and talents being kept in sort of like a stable by an Inquisitor and sent down onto a planet to try and stop the Darktide, basically stop this like heresy in its tracks in this city. I was really hoping that we were going to get these guys as miniatures, but what they've done instead is they've recycled a bunch of classics. So we have the Psyker and the Zealot from Blackstone Fortress. We have a Veteran, which is just one of the new Kazarkin miniatures, and we have an Ogren, and these two are actually combined on a new sprue. And then, of course, we have the 16 bad guy models. So let's crack it open. You can see I've already mangled the box, as it is not one of the hard boxes, and see what's inside. So we have the rulebook. We've got all of our, you don't get these D20s. I use these in the game to mark kills, so those you don't get. You're gonna get a whole bunch of double-sided counters for terrain, so either impassable or cover terrain. A whole bunch of tokens. You're gonna get wound tokens. You're gonna get equipment tokens. These are used for the various equipments and spells. Then you're gonna get activation markers and wound markers for the operatives. Objective tokens for when you need objectives, and some D6s. You get some, these aren't range rulers, these are line of sight markers. You get your tiles for actually like deploying and playing on the game, and these are all double-sided. So there's a variety of different layouts that you can make of the maps, and the maps are all mission generated in the rulebook. And then finally you get your stat cards, your equipment cards, and your upgrade cards. Now, each of the character classes has its own like core skill set, and then the equipment is shared by everybody, but some of it's better for different characters, right? So it depends on who it is. So Psyker upgrades, things like you could have Prescience, basically different psychic powers, Smite, Surge, Vortex, Endurance, Shroud, Guard. So these are the Veterans one. He can be a guard, Suppressive Fire, Combat Drill, Battlefield Savvy, Fusillade. And when you equip these, Reap for the Zealots, you can have Protector or Headbutt as an additional weapon. When you use these, they attach to your cards, and your stat cards for both good guys and bad guys are on here. Now they look slightly different. The bad guys, they're kind of laid out like kill team cards. You've got Darktide as their faction keyword, and I'm actually kind of excited about that because what that can mean is, one, it's referred to in the rules, but it also means that there could be other factions. I'm really hoping this gets expanded with additional content, and this core keyword would allow that to happen. So the Moebian troopers have all their own stuff. So the trooper, the commsman, the gunners with the flamer and the grenade launcher, a sharpshooter model, and a chieftain. And these are all basically the ones that come in the kill team box. So if you have that kill team already, the traitor guard kill team, you've got all the models already painted. And then you get poxwalkers, who are just straight old poxwalkers. Now you'll notice on the poxwalkers you have a behavior thing. So this is if and statements 1 through 3, things they do during the turn. Their actual weapons are laid out a lot like the kill team weapons. So for instance, you have a number of attacks, what you need to hit, and then how much damage each hit does, or critical, which is a 6+. And that's kind of it. And then how many wins they can take before they die. For the operatives, you've got slots for their 2 pieces of equipment and 2 upgrades. And no matter how much you know, you can only go into each kill zone with 2 and 2 equipped. There are some exceptions, like for instance, the Ogre can have like extra pouches strapped to him. So you can have another equipment card if he wants instead of an ability, because he's just big and dumb and carries stuff. But for the most part, that's going to be it. There's not a lot of other stuff on here from the bad guy cards. You have a wound tracker on here, so you don't have to put counters on the table for the characters, which is nice. And then you also have your stats for your weapons. So for instance, the Psyker has a las pistol and a staff, the hotshot volley gun and a gun butt, a flamer and a chain blade, and a ripper gun and an oversized bayonet for the Ogren. And there's some variations. The Ogren has 15 wounds, everybody else has 10. Yeah, and that's basically it. So those are our stat cards. And then finally, there's the activation deck. And the activation deck is your core game mechanics. So as you lay out your missions in the kill zone, you build your activation deck based upon who's still alive in the kill zone, and then you will flip. So like, let's say I've got the Moebian chieftain, troopers 3, 4, and the sharpshooter, and then a couple poxwalkers. But you go by model, so actually what the model looks like. And then I've got all my kill team members still alive. I'd throw 4 kill team cards in there, and I built my deck for the turn. I would then shuffle these up, which means I'm probably gonna end up sleeving them because after a couple games, I'm like, I should probably sleeve these. And then for the turn, this reminds me a lot of actually like 3rd edition Confrontation. You flip to see what the active model is going to be. So in this case, Moebian Trooper number 3 would activate during that point in the turn. And then after them would go number 4, and then a Poxwalker. Then we get to pick any kill team operative to go because this is a cooperative game, right? So it's not tied to them. Then the Chieftain, then a kill team member, then a kill team member, then a kill team member, then a Poxwalker, and the Sharpshooter. So you build that every turn based upon who's still alive. And as sides take casualties, I've already broken this. As sides take casualties, they will have like some necessary attrition and start to die. And so that's sort of the core materials. Oh, and then these are your line of sight templates. Basically, it's middle of hex to middle of hex, a lot like in Warhammer Underworlds. And if you can draw a line, then you are safe to attack, whether it's ranged or melee. Ranged is whatever you can see, basically, unless there's a range stat to it, like a cap. And then you roll to hit. All right, so I'm just gonna get all that out of the way. Let's look at some miniatures before we jump into the rulebook. So miniatures-wise, they're gonna come in colored plastic. So you have an assembly guide, which is going to give you all the ways to build things. Most of the core stuff is push fit, right? So the 2 Blackstone Fortress characters are push fit. The Guardsman and the Ogryn are not push fit, as they are probably the only newer, well, it's a new frame. It's a frame with both of them on it. And the rest of it, this is the kill team frame for the Traitor Guard. So you can see here, it's just exactly that frame, but it's in green plastic. And then I've already started, I got excited, so I started building stuff already in my kill team carrying case. This is the best carrying case Workshop ever made. So your kill team members are all in blue plastic, right? And they're just push fit together for the 2 and then built for the other one. You get lots of extra saddlebags and stuff for the Ogryn to carry all their extra gear on. And then the Poxwalkers are just 4 or 6, sorry. I think it's the easy to build box for Poxwalkers from when Dark Imperium came out, just in green plastic. So nice and easy. So it's a grand total of 20 models in the box, 4 good guys and 16 bad guys. And you will use all of them eventually, but you won't use them all right at the beginning, which is nice. You're only going to use Poxwalkers and I think like 4 or 5 of the Guardsmen for the first whole mission. And the mission is 3 different steps, 3 different layers. So you don't have to build the whole thing in one go. And that was really nice. To test it out, I only needed to build the Poxwalkers and these guys. And then luckily I had most of these miniatures painted already. So it was really easy for me to Travis to throw down and actually play a Let's Play of this, which is also up to date. You can go watch us play through the entire first mission and start planning stuff out. So let's dive into the rules in the background. If you haven't played the video game, this is doing its best to sort of mimic the video game from the point of view of this is a Left 4 Dead traversal shooter in the video game mode. You're trying to get from point A to point B, accomplish something, maybe get back. This was pioneered by Left 4 Dead kind of originally in the Steam world. And then Vermintide did this really well for the Workshop games. And this is kind of a 40K version of Vermintide. Yeah, so obviously the city that you're in, the Inquisitor sent you down. You're all rejects. You're all different versions of bad, and you're kind of like a Suicide Squad, right? So the Inquisitor is the what's her name? What's her name? Shoot, the character from DC Comics. Not Wanda. I've completely lost her name out of the top of my head. Anyway, she builds a Suicide Squad. She puts bombs in her neck, sends them out to do missions that nobody else can do. You know the idea. Why can I not remember her name now? It's like I want to say like Wanda Salinger, but it's not that. It's Martha. No, there's only 2 Marthas, and they both have a superhero attached to them. It doesn't matter. So, like I said, these are our core rules. Going through the Moebian, Commsman, and the Zealot, but it's just showing you stuff I already showed you on the cards. Behavior-wise. There can be special rules sometimes. So for instance, the Moebian Commsman, he has Coordinator. Whenever someone is rolling defense dice, either him or another Moebian trooper, so with that keyword, they can reroll a single defense dice each turn because he's keeping them safe, telling them where things are. You could have special rules in your weapons too, like for instance, the Zealot has range 4 on her weapon. And you can have attachments that add to it too. So for instance, Pyromaniac is an additional one. And then they've got the Pyromaniac gives you the ability to do additional like damage on guys around the hex you're attacking with your flamethrower because you just start screaming and burning everything. Basic rules for movement. It's Warhammer Underworlds, right? So you start in a hex, you move to adjacent hexes until you're done moving. If you try and move into a light terrain hex through a yellow line, it costs you an additional point of movement. Heavy terrain you can't move through. I'm really excited to make 3D terrain for this. I think it would be super fun to do. Line of sight, again, center hex to center hex, can't cross a line or anything red. Objective markers, damage markers. Threat principle means the thing with the most wounds left is the biggest threat. So in the case of a tie, if someone's going to attack somebody, if they're equally close, you attack the thing that's a bigger threat to try and take it out. So it's kind of cool because it protects you a little bit from the bad guys in that they won't like poach easy to kill people. And if you stand two people next to each other, they can kind of guard each other. There's a tactic to using that to your advantage, even though the bad guys are kind of on a script. All right, so playing the game. The battle structure has a bunch of phases. The prepare phase is the first one. You set the kill zone based on your mission. So missions will have this, which is your first round, second round, third round. There's always an achievement that you have to do to clear the round. So if you think of this as traversal, these are the rooms you have to get through to finish that mission. Then you build your activation deck, and then, yeah, your actions are always going to be based upon what you want to do each turn. So skip this activation step in the first round, but after that, you can each do a prepare action. You must declare the actions that each have to perform before any, and they are performed simultaneously during the prepare phase. The actions available as follows. So like each time there's a prepare step, you will then declare which one you're going to do. So you can loot, randomly draw a card from the equipment deck for each operative performing this action. Basically, these actions are before any of them do, and then you get to like pull a random deck. You can heal 2d3 damage, but incapacitated operatives can't do this. And then scout for each operative performing this action, draw d3 cards from the activation deck at the end of the phase. Have a look at the cards drawn, then return them to the top and or bottom of the deck in any order that you want. For example, if you draw 6 cards, you could return 4 to the bottom of the deck and 2 to the top of the deck. So it's basically like a special action thing that you can do to try and make the life easier. Then deploy, set up kill team operatives in any of the green start hexes. Incapacitated kill team operatives cannot be set up and don't participate in the round. So these are all sort of like important extra actions that you can do. And then activation deck, create an activation deck by adding an activation card for each model that's on the kill zone. And then it's kill team activations and Darktide activations. You can do kill team activations in any order. So whenever you pull a kill team member card, you can activate whichever one you want. When you pull a Darktide card, it'll be that specific model and it'll have its script on its card that'll tell you what you want it to do. And then the actions, again, are going to be real familiar to anyone that played Fireteam or that played, actually, a lot of people didn't play Fireteam. Fireteam was the kill team board game version that was available at Barnes & Noble in North America, which was actually really cool. And I played a bit with the kids and I played a Let's Play of it online as well. The game's a bit reminiscent of that because it was like a hexagonal board game hybrid of this. So normal move, just like in Kill Team, you can move 3 squares. Dash is 1 square. Pass is you don't do anything with your action. Fight, you fight in melee. Shoot, you shoot ranged weapon. The process is exactly the same as in Kill Team. So fight is you both roll your attack dice for your melee weapon. The active model applies damage or parry first. The defending model then goes back and does it. Monsters never defend, so they just always apply damage, so you don't have to worry about them trying to parry, which makes parrying a little bit better. And then shooting is the same as anything else. You're going to have your like range dice that you have on your card. The kill team operatives all get 3 defense dice on a 4+. The bad guy operatives all get 3 on a 5+, unless a special rule dictates otherwise. So again, core exactly the same. Some variation to make it kind of like more generic, I guess, to the core game. And that's it. And then we're in Tertium Hive. So Tertium Hive is like the Cold Iron Stack. It's like a huge mining area, and it has like just a bunch of Trader Guardsmen. It's got a Poxwalker invasion, and things have gone terribly wrong. So we're trying to investigate and purge what's happening in here. And you can play the game 2 ways. You can play it either as a single game. So that's just pick any 2 upgrades or equipment cards as a team, assign them to your kill team members, go and play a mission, any mission you want at random. The campaign is you play the missions in order. So what we did for the campaign was, and what I'll do when I start the Rejects campaign, which I'm going to do like an open door invite for people to come and play in, is when we do Rejects, you have to be randomly assigned your 2 upgrades. And then as we play the campaign, our equipment stash is going to get bigger, and we agree at the beginning of the game who gets what. We can do like a round robin, like where you pick a card, pass, pick, pass, like a Friday Night Magic thing where you basically pass the equipment cards around and grab them. Is my plan for that. And then you can improve. So at the end of each game, or each mission, sorry, that's why there's D12s in that box. You keep a kill counter for each kill team operative of who killed the most models. If bigger models get introduced, I'll probably have them count as more than 1 for kills. And whoever gets the most gets to draw any combination of equipment and and upgrade cards, and then keep 1 at the end of each mission. So it's kind of a looter shooter, but like you never keep equipment that you find during the game. You only keep the stuff that you find in between games, and it enters your stash of what you can equip at the start. So a little Diablo-y. You have so many slots, and you can get stuff and then apply it as you want. You recover as well, so you take d6 plus 5 damage from each kill team member that was incapacitated. So if you died during the mission, you get to come back with a little bit of health. And again, that's why that like recovery action is really important. And then gear up. Players have a store of upgrade equipment cards earned when they improve. Note that excess equipment cards from the loot prepare action are not added to the store. And before the game, select the mission and then choose a randomly determine and reassign your kill team members. And then finally, you can abort too. If you think you're going to lose, you can just pull out. Hopefully, you don't die. But you skip the you complete the recover and gear up steps, but you skip the improve step because you didn't finish the mission. And then finally, you have a servo skull occasionally in missions that you have to follow around. It's a 5th kill team member card, and if it gets hit, it dies. And that is it, except for our mission. So there's 6 missions in here, each one with 3 different stages, so a total of 18 different boards to play through. And if you play them in a order, like so if you play Cleanse first, you're fighting Poxwalkers, you get to see that today. And then you got Scan and Upload, Escort, which I think is the servo skull one, Rescue, Contamination, and then finally Assault, which is like your big base bash at the end of it all. And that's it. It says where to go next is Kill Team. You can play on a Kill Team. Cool. I really hope they make more for this, though. And that's it. That's Darktide. So what do I think? First of all, I think Games Workshop needs to make more cooperative games. I think that they have had their board games. They're a lot to set up and tear down. Oh man, this is just the right weight for a casual, fun, models-first board game. I think they'll be surprised by how popular this is if people who like the Warhammer universe but aren't interested in playing it competitively give it a chance, write additional content for it, and or if they support this through either White Dwarf or additional box expansions. This is a prime supported by White Dwarf game title. Right now, White Dwarf comes with tons of cardboard. You can, like, if you made me Gellerpox cards and just did another bad guy deck, additional rejects, you know what I mean? And like character classes, additional equipment cards you might try and find, or upgrades you might try and find, and stick them in White Dwarf. Or do Blackstone Fortress style upgrade boxes. This game could be something that truly surprises Games Workshop by how much there is an appetite for this kind of thing. Because what this is basically a tabletop adventure game, the likes of which they haven't made in a long time, set in the 40K universe. I said for a long time, like, if they did a 40K Warhammer Underworlds, it would sell insane just for the miniatures. They really should do a 40K Warhammer Underworlds style game like this, and give it this light RPG mechanic of finding new skills and new loot and advancing and adventuring, but make it so that I can build any miniatures I want, which is what's going to end up happening here, right? Like, when I do rejects as a campaign, I'm just going to say, guys, just build miniatures. Just build them and bring them in. Build what you like. Build a cool Ogryn, build a cool Psyker, because the miniatures don't matter, right? The equipment doesn't matter. You're making your player character for D&D, and then you're running it through a gauntlet of like zombies and weird trader guardsmen and stuff like that. So please, Games Workshop, give me more content for this. I will happily write more content for this. I was already thinking about this as a game. If you ask my patrons, you'll know that this was something I was thinking about making during the pandemic, and I wrote like a rules light system for. So I was super pumped that this came out. I just really hope this isn't a one and done. If you make additional stuff for this, I think you will be surprised by the number of your customers who will be excited about it. Will it sell a ton of miniatures? Maybe not the ton you want, but it's going to bring a bunch of hobbyists who might not be interested in the current direction that like Warhammer 40,000 is moving into your stores, excited to find a miniature to represent the player character that they're going to play and run it through a game. It's less restrictive. It's more open-ended than a thing like Blackstone Fortress. It sets up and tears down in like 20 minutes. You get to see the game that I played with Travis, where the miniatures, again, they don't matter. I have all the miniatures, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, I could use any Trader Guardsman I want. You could just as easily sub in with these exact same rules. You could sub in Genestealer Cultists and have it be completely fine, right? And use, instead of using the Plague Zombies, use like Rippers or something. You know what I mean? Use like weird, like Acolyte hybrids or something like that as your dudes. So I'm super excited for this. A cooperative Warhammer 40,000 game is something I've been waiting for from Games Workshop for a long time. You're going to see tons of it on the channel. I'm putting a big call out right now to all my GMG guests to start preparing player characters. Doesn't matter which ones, because we'll just swap the ones out that you didn't bring. You know what I mean? Like build 2 characters and bring them. And we'll keep playing rejects until this is done. And when it's done, we'll just write more missions for it. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews. Thanks to Workshop for sending along this complimentary copy to review. Till next time, Ash. Up